Today I take a deep look at Killzone's most famous multiplayer map, Radec Academy. I'm going to compare all three versions of it, the one from Killzone 2, the one from Killzone 3, and the one from Killzone Shadowfall. I'll note the differences between the versions and how those differences reflect the sad story of the conflict between the Helghast and the ISA. Technically, there's a fourth version of the map in the Killzone 2 campaign mode. During the ISA's invasion of the Helghan homeworld, a group of ISA soldiers break into Radec Academy in order to find Commander Radic himself. That part of the game is rather brief, but the multiplayer version of the Academy became very popular amongst the Killzone 2 online player base. Even after the official servers were shut down in 2018, fans playing on private servers to this day still choose to play on this map more than any other. I'm going to begin the comparison right here in the Killzone 2 version. You'll be able to tell which version I'm showing on the screen by looking at the top left corner. And I'll start here at the front door to the Academy. This is the same door in the campaign mode that the ISA come breaking into. You see the double doors there, and you see a little entryway area that is lower than the rest of the map. In the Killzone 3 version, there's debris everywhere, and the doors are open. In the Shadowfall version, there's also debris, but it looks like it's been sitting around a lot longer. It looks very dusty. The lighting effects are more advanced too, because it was on the PS4 instead of the PS3. As we get closer to the door in the Killzone 2 version, we see that they are shut. It looks like this is what it would look like before the ISA soldiers came storming through. But in the Killzone 3 version, the doors are open, and inside there is a spawn area that is specific to Killzone 3. In the Shadowfall version, the doors are not there, and you can see that the side of the building has been ripped off. You can't go through the doors on the Killzone 2 version, but here in the Killzone 3 version, we'll step inside and look around. You can see the other set of doors that go to the outside. And if we go up these steps, there's some bookcases and another opening to the inside of the Academy. On the other side, there's another set of bookcases. And on the Shadowfall version, those doors to the outside look like they lead right off a cliff. By this point in Killzone Shadowfall, the planet has been destroyed and the crust is being ripped up, it looks like. So that's why everything outside just looks torn up. If we go up the steps, we see the bookcases are there, but the books are not. Maybe they've been looted, or maybe the Helghans came and took the books themselves to settle on Vecta, which is what happens in the Shadowfall storyline. Now here on the Killzone 2 version, we're standing at the doorway facing toward the middle of the map. You see off to the side there's these plants on each side of the entryway here, and you see the steps that lead up to the rest of the map. In Killzone 3, those plants are no longer up against a wall there, they are instead in the middle. I don't know if those plants were like blown toward the middle, or maybe someone moved them or something, I don't know. A lot of the surrounding area has been destroyed, of course. Here in Shadowfall, you see pretty much the same thing, except those plants are gone. Maybe they came and got them, or maybe they were looted or something. Or perhaps they're underneath this rubble somewhere and they just kind of biodegraded or something, I don't know. Now let's take a look to the sky. In Killzone 2, there's a lot of glare up there. There is smoke, so I think the war is going on out there. I don't think this takes place before the war. In Killzone 3, you see a mushroom cloud, and you see some battles taking place. These nukes actually started going off in the Killzone 2 campaign, so I'm not sure when this map is actually taking place during all that. It could technically be taking place during the events of Killzone 2. And then in Shadowfall, we see some streaming material up there. It might be petricide because at this point, like I mentioned, the planet is being torn apart. We also see what appears to be an ISA ship coming down. That happens during some of the events of Killzone Shadowfall. Now we're going to walk toward the courtyard through this double set of doors here. There's actually a couple more doors on the inside here, or at least I think these are doors. It's a very ornate place. In Killzone 3, the color palette is a little bit different, more orange and brown as opposed to blue and gray. But the doors are still there and everything is actually in good condition inside here. In Shadowfall, the doors are a completely different design, so I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they made some changes because they were thinking about reopening the academy at some point. Now we're going to step out into the courtyard in Killzone 2. If you're playing multiplayer, this is where you would get killed if you walked across this courtyard because everyone's aiming at you. In Killzone 3, the courtyard is in pretty rough shape, and people are still trying to kill you. I love the debris and how it's falling from the sky. I assume that's from the mushroom cloud that's nearby. In Killzone Shadowfall, when we step into the courtyard, we can't even see it because there's now a new structure, like a wall that's blocking the way. Maybe it fell down from the ceiling or something, but it looks like it was once a wall there. And the middle of the courtyard has a lot of debris as well. As we step toward the middle of the courtyard in Killzone 2, you have this transmitter, which was one of the capture points. In Killzone 3, you have a crashed aerial vehicle or something like that that's embedded in the surface here. In Shadowfall, I don't know what this stuff is. It could be debris from the buildings nearby that blew up. If we look up above the courtyard in Killzone 2, there's a lot of glare, but you can kind of make out some structures nearby. In Killzone 3, once again, you can get a good look at the mushroom cloud, and it just looks like hell out there. Here you see ISA vehicles, I believe, hauling soldiers back and forth. In Shadowfall, you get to see more ISA ships that are descending, and you just see the ruins of the city. And the city is almost wrapped around you. Like I said, the crust of the planet is being warped. There's also these two masks in the courtyard in Killzone 2. They look identical in Killzone 3, except one of them is not there. But if you look nearby, you see it laying on the ground. In Shadowfall, those masks are less shiny, maybe because time has passed, the outside layer has worn away. The one that fell down is still on the ground. But what's funny is that it looks more intact than the one in Killzone 2. Maybe somebody in the Shadowfall era found the missing piece and brought it and just laid it next to it. Now we're at the entrance to Commander Radic's office. In Killzone 2, you step through the entryway there, and there's these two stairways that descend. If you follow those stairways, they lead to these underground tunnels that lead to the spawn area of each of the two sides. In Killzone 3, those tunnels are shut off because something has crashed into the stairway that leads to them. In Shadowfall, this room is completely different. There is a door in the back, and there's no sign that anything has crashed in there. I guess I can make a fan theory that they were going to reopen the academy at some point after the events of Killzone 3, and they did some remodeling, which included a new set of doors. Maybe they had new fire codes in place, so they needed to create another exit. From that little area in Killzone 2, you can go off to the side and go up a set of stairs. And this little room is what appears to be the waiting room for Radic's office. His office is behind those two doors that are off to the left there. And in the campaign mode, you do go through those doors. Here's that same set of stairs in Killzone 3. There's a new opening to the courtyard here. And as you head up toward Radec's office, you see that once again a vehicle has crashed through the wall here. And you also see a painting here, and I assume that's a painting of Vasari, but I'm not sure. This is also a spawn point, which is why you saw the bot spawn in there. So Radec's office would have been on the other side of this. And Shadowfall will head up the same set of stairs. That opening is still there. The guardrails have been torn out. And in this room, it looks like they were trying to turn it into an office instead of the waiting room for the main office. That painting is gone. It looks like the frame for it is still there, but that plaque is in its place. The doorway to the outside is gone. So like I said, maybe they did a remodel, and since the other side was destroyed anyway, they just made this one solid wall. Amongst all the debris that's in Killzone 2 are these glowing pieces, which I assume are radioactive shards from either a ship or possibly from within the planet. Those shards are also present on the Shadowfall version of the map, but they're in different places. There's a set of steps here in Killzone 2, but in Killzone 3, those steps have crumbled, so you can't climb up through that area, but you can come down from it. And in Shadowfall, the steps have been restored. Once again, that points to my fan theory about them wanting to reopen Radec Academy. Here is a upper walkway. Those who play this map know this walkway well. There's a lot of battles that take place up here, in Killzone 2 especially. In Killzone 3, the walkway looks pretty much the same, but you can see the differences in the lighting, and you can see debris falling from the ceiling too. And here's what the Shadowfall map looks like. You can see the lighting effects are even more advanced. You can see the sunshine beaming through there. Things look like they've been laying around a long time. For some reason, there's a couch up here. Here is the library, and this is the upper part of it. Everything looks very nice in the Killzone 2 version of the map. Not much is destroyed except for the ammo box. And if you come over to these steps that lead down to the lower area, you can see the bookcases that are below. Here's what it looks like in Killzone 3. The upper area is completely destroyed, and it looks a little bit more wider as well. There's no books laying around at all, just the damaged bookcases. And if you look over the edge, down to where all the stacks of books were at, there's a cannon there shooting up toward the sky. This is an awesome detail. I don't think this cannon affected the multiplayer matches, but it certainly looks cool. And here's what the Shadowfall version looks like. This place has seen better days. If you look over the side here, you can see a space where that cannon used to be at, but it's no longer there. And if you look up, you can see the planet is going through hell. It's a very sad state of affairs. Here's what the lower portion of the library looked like in Killzone 2. Books are still on the shelf. It looks like they could have had class yesterday. And here's what that area looks like in Killzone 2. You see the cannon there in front. I don't see any books around. Pieces of the ceiling have fallen down. And there's a similar look in Shadowfall. Here is the cantina of Killzone 2, the serving area where they fed the students. In the multiplayer games, a lot of people hide behind this counter and try to kill you. There's a lot of detail here, especially for a PS3 game. And here's what it looks like in Killzone 3. Things are on fire, and there's an orange glow to everything. The weird thing is, there's a new room off to the side. Or it's more like a wall with an opening in it, and on the other side of the wall, there's a little area where they prepped the food or something. And in Shadowfall, the cantina looks a little bit better. It's no longer on fire, at least. And the wall is still there. If you look at the exhaust hood here in Killzone 2, you see a little bit of a water leak. In Killzone 3, the water leak has been fixed, but the exhaust hood is on fire, so they just can't get a break here. And it's weird, it looks like there's ceiling tiles now. There used to be water pipes up there, and now the tiles are covering everything. In Shadowfall, there's no fire and there's no leak. All there is dust coming down from the ceiling. I don't see the ceiling tiles at all. This time it looks like it's all concrete or something. So storyline-wise, they must have did several stints of repairs to the cantina, but in the end, they just abandoned it. The upper portion of the cantina has this window here where I think they served food. This is also the site where you had to plant bombs in the multiplayer. That same area in Killzone 3 looks a lot different because everything has been crumbled. The counter area is completely collapsed, and there's a new wall in the middle of the room. I believe the programmers might have added more walls to keep people from camping as much, because you could do that a lot in Killzone 2. I think that's the main reason for it. I don't know why the Helgans would want to build new walls just in the middle of a room like this. Maybe they wanted to stabilize the building to keep it from collapsing. There you go. In Shadowfall, this room more or less matches the Killzone 3 room. Even those serving racks off to the side are almost identical between the two games. Now here's the Auditorium. This is a very memorable area of the map. We can see here in Killzone 2 that there's a little bit of damage to some of the pews. And it looks a lot different in Killzone 3. Debris has apparently fallen through the ceiling and has demolished all the seating. And up above, there is a mauler walking around and doing battle. If you ever played the Killzone 3 campaign, you have to fight one of these, and it is intimidating. But here it didn't factor into the multiplayer, it's just there. The Auditorium in Killzone Shadowfall still has no ceiling left. There's no longer a mauler up there. There's a projector that's at the top of the Auditorium, and it's still running in Killzone 2, but you don't see it shining on the wall below. There's a lectern there at the bottom. In Killzone 3, the projector is still there, and you can actually see the image on the wall. The lectern has been knocked down, and you see a helmet there too. In Shadowfall, finally someone turned off that projector. I think they shot it. And that lectern below is nowhere to be found. Unless it's underneath this rubble somewhere. I wasn't able to locate it. Now in the Auditorium, there's this tiny room with an ammo crate in it. I hide in there from time to time during the multiplayer. Interestingly, in Killzone 3, they have shut the doors to that little room. In Shadowfall, they've opened them back up again, but what's inside the room is different, because now you can walk into it and go off to the side a little bit, and it takes you back to the base camp here. This is an area that was not visible in the other games, and if you keep following the corridor, it eventually leads to the top of the Auditorium again. Next, we're gonna go into the bathrooms. This was one of the base camps in Killzone 2. There's all these toilets here, and they are destructible. The bathroom is a lot more wrecked in Killzone 3, but once again, the toilets are destructible. In Shadowfall, the toilets look different. They're more round, and they're semi-destructible, but they heal themselves after a while. That's just how Shadowfall worked. If something broke, it would heal itself. You can see the bullet marks off to the side here just go away. As for the rest of the bathroom, behind the toilets, there's this washing area in Killzone 2. And there's a locker area on the other side. In Killzone 3, that locker area has been destroyed, and the washing area has been replaced with a set of steps. There's still one more sink, so they reduced the number of sinks. In Shadowfall, that staircase is still there, but the sink is gone, so they did a lot of remodeling to this bathroom. Back behind the bathrooms are some barracks where the students slept. In Killzone 3, the rooms that led to those sleeping areas have been completely blocked, but if you peek through there, you can see the remains of the bed. In Shadowfall, they're also blocked off, and you can still see the remains of some beds. Now here we're walking on the second floor toward the classrooms. There's a downstairs area right there. And if you walk into this room, you see a chalkboard with a lectern. Walking that same area in Killzone 3, it's pretty consistent. But once again, they've inserted a wall in the middle of the room. The chalkboards are still there, but they're a lot smaller. I don't know how you can teach in a room that has a wall built in the middle of it, but whatever. And here's the same area in Killzone Shadowfall. It's basically the same as Killzone 3, except now there's a hole in the floor and there's no chalkboard. On the other side of that classroom is another classroom. In Killzone 2, there was a hole in the wall that led to the base. On this wall is where you would set explosives in one of the Warzone matches. This same room is a little bit different in Killzone 3. The whole wall is missing. You can see some chalkboards there, but not much else to tell you that this was a classroom. In Shadowfall, they have rebuilt the ceiling, but they've knocked out the back wall, and that actually leads to one of the base camps. So, a lot of artistic differences between these three games. Here I'm back at the ISA base in Killzone 2. This is a maintenance area where they repaired their tanks or something like that. And if I head back here, I see a caged area with some drums and stuff behind it. And if I turn around, there's an outside area with some more tanks. In Killzone 3, some things have come down from the ceiling. The tank is no longer there. I can see some of the oil drums out here. And if I look near the back, I see the remains of that gate that enclosed the drums. The outside area door has been closed. In Shadowfall, that area is not accessible. I'm looking into that area from another room here, and they have all this stuff blocking it off. You can still see the oil drums, and you can see the remains of the things that fell from the ceiling and stuff, but there's no way to get back there. I'm sure somebody has glitched back there or something, but I can't get back there. Here you see more of that ISA base. There's a walkway up above that, as you cut out of the base, you can go up there if you want. That same area looks a lot different in Killzone 3, and there's actually another set of stairs off to the side. And the same goes with Shadowfall. There's this hallway that's shaped like a U in the original Killzone 2. And here's a set of steps that lead to the classrooms that I showed earlier. In Killzone 2, this area is a lot different. Here's that same set of steps, but as I come around the corner here, it's no longer a tight hallway, it's a wide open area. And the same goes for Shadowfall. Maybe the school realized that they needed more space for things, so they took out some walls and made it bigger. I wanted to show a little bit of footage from some new areas that only exist on the Shadowfall map. This is a back room to one of the base camps. And through this little orange door, you can come out into the play area. But back here, there's like water heaters and just a maintenance area. So that's it. I hope you found this video enjoyable. There's another video from this channel on the screen right now that's being recommended to you. Feel free to watch that. Have a great day, everybody.